I have a feeling you've seen comments before like, I miss old Rec Room. Old Rec Room graphics were better. And as a new player, you may be wondering, was it actually better? Let's compare the base games, starting with graphics. I've seen multiple people talk about how they prefer old Rec Room graphics compared to what we have now. Now, why would they do this? Obviously, graphics from 2023 would be better than graphics from 2016, right? Well, not necessarily. The main year people talk about when comparing graphics to one another is 2018. So let's compare a dorm room from 2018 to one from 2023. If you look at both the reflections, the room just feels way more alive in 2023. Now I feel like graphics is just something that will get better over time, which is why I felt like it was weird that people are comparing old graphics to what we have now. But the main reason people may think old Rec Room graphics are better than new Rec Room graphics is because old Rec Room graphics were all PCVR. A lot of players use the Quest 2, so if that's the case, then technically it is a downgrade. Old Rec Room definitely did some stuff better though. For example, in the years 2016 through 2018, we had 16 Rec Room originals added, not counting the Rec Center. Versus in 2019 through 2023, we've had a grand total, drumroll please, of 4 Rec Room originals. That is literally a quarter of what we had in just 3 years. Obviously, Stunt Runner in 2019 was an amazing Rec Room original, but the same can't be said for the rest. In 2021, we got Rec Rally. I don't even think I have to say anything here. And in 2022, we got Showdown, which had so much hype and the trailer made it look awesome, just for it to release with a ton of bugs and being basically dead 3 months after it released. Now, Make It to Midnight is an exception, thinking it's one of the best Rec Room originals we've had in years. Comparing this to old Rec Room, where we got all the quests, paintball, Rec Royale, and many more. Some of the most liked Rec Room originals and are still loved till this day. But you can clearly see that Rec Room has stopped focusing on such stuff as Rec Room originals, which is interesting on their part, thinking that Rec Room originals are some of the most played games on the platform. There are a few things very clearly different about old Rec Room originals and new Rec Room originals though, which is the quality and the content. I feel like Make It to Midnight is a great example of that, comparing it to other Rec Room originals, like Paintball, for example. Paintball being one, if not the most popular Rec Room original. Now, there really isn't much progression to be made in Paintball if you win 100 games or get really good at sniping. Now, the thing is, you don't really get rewarded unless you're in some community-made leagues. Now, let's take a look at Make It to Midnight. Make It to Midnight has a ton of progression, content, and rewards that you can get from just doing basic tasks in the game. For example, Make It to Midnight is the only Rec Room original to have an entirely different leveling system and is not connected to the default Rec Room one. And you get the XP for the levels by doing simple tasks in the game, like completing generators, or just playing the game in general. With these levels, you can earn rewards like perks, which can make the game easier so you can progress faster. And there's not a limited amount of perks by no means. There's a total of 28 perks you can unlock. Some of these perks are passive, some you actually have to strategically use to your advantage. You can also earn cool items from this Rec Room original, which is just another reason why this is easily the most replayable Rec Room original. Now, Rec Room tends to be focusing a lot more on the players creating games and not them. Versus before 2018, we didn't have any ways to make our own games, and even in 2018, it wasn't very advanced. Now in 2023, we have CV2, a pretty advanced maker pen, and now Rec Room Studio. Rec Room Studio still uses CV2, but it allows players to import models and animations from Blender, which means that Rec Room games are getting really realistic. And creators in Rec Room have a ton more freedom. Like seriously though, these horror games are getting way too scary. The main point is that 2016 through 2018 Rec Room was focused on creating the best Rec Room originals for us, but 2019 through 2023 is trying to make us make our own version of Rec Room. I feel like one thing I do need to talk about in this video are people saying stuff like the developers are money hungry, which is an interesting statement alone. The main reason people tend to say this is because the most expensive item until 2022 was the Unicorn Horn. It cost just around 13,000 tokens. Most players saw this as pretty expensive. But in 2022, Rec Room had this obsession with Rec Room lore. Specifically this character S. S would randomly make these glitch shops appear around the rec center. And these shops generally had Elspur items, but one of those items being the Amulet of Elspur, costing 20,000 plus tokens. So for 20,000 tokens, what does this item do? It opens a door that lets you see some lore that never went anywhere. And this wasn't the only expensive item they released on this update. Almost every Elspur item costing at least 6,000 tokens, and some even costing 10,000 plus. and just for them a few months later to release the Cleansed Amulet of Elsewhere, which is just a recolor of the regular one. And you can buy this Cleansed Amulet of Elsewhere for 14,000 tokens. Rec Room has a tendency of making a lore item, selling it for a lot, and then never going anywhere with the actual lore. Now there is one argument that will completely counter any arguments on why new Rec Room is better. Most old Rec Room players have been talking about when they first got into the game get hit by a huge wave of nostalgia. They missed when Rec Room was releasing a ton of Rec Room originals instead of focusing on allowing players to create their own Rec Room originals. They missed when Rec Room originals actually got updates. Now obviously looking back at old Rec Room, it wasn't as advanced. And Rec Room definitely has improved a lot, but it does have its downsides. Old Rec Room was the building blocks of what we have now. Even if it wasn't perfect, people miss that, which I understand. And old Rec Room probably hits different in a way that I can never understand. But enjoy Rec Room for what it is, whatever your opinion is on old or new Rec Room.